Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the Quarantine Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The U.S. death toll from the coronavirus outbreak is fast approaching 100,000. As lockdowns ease across the United States and other countries around the World Health Organization's warning of a second peak of coronavirus cases. The WHO urged countries to step up testing and tracking. Across the globe, the pandemic has killed over 345,000 people, but that's believed to be an undercount. The New York Times marked the staggering U.S. death toll by dedicating its entire front page Sunday to hundreds of the names of Americans who died from the virus. President Trump spent parts of the Memorial Day weekend playing golf and using his Twitter account to attack his political enemies, spread conspiracy theories, and amplify the messages of some of his racist followers. He retweeted multiple personal attacks on House Leader Nancy Pelosi and former Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, attacking Pelosi's physical appearance and Abrams' weight. He also reposted a tweet referring to Hillary Clinton as a skank. On Memorial Day, the president refused to wear a mask during events at Arlington Cemetery and Fort Henry. Meanwhile, he shared a tweet mocking Joe Biden for wearing a mask while visiting a veterans memorial in Delaware. On Friday, North Dakota's Republican governor, Doug Burgum, made an emotional plea, asking residents to avoid what he called mask shaming.
If somebody wants to wear a mask, there should be no mask shaming. You should look at them and say, that person's wearing a mask because for them, there's additional risk in their life.
Trump is threatening to move August Republican convention from Charlotte, North Carolina, if the state's Democratic governor, Roy Cooper, does not guarantee he can have a packed arena. On Monday, Trump accused Cooper of being, quote, still in shutdown mood. The Twitter attack came just 2 days after North Carolina registered its largest daily increase in coronavirus cases. On Friday, Trump said all houses of worship are essential and threatened to override governors who refused to lift restrictions on them if restrictions were not lifted by the weekend.
Some governors have deemed liquor stores and abortion clinics as essential, but have left out churches and other houses of worship. It's not right. So I'm correcting this injustice and calling houses of worship essential.
President Trump, however, does not have the authority to override state orders on places of worship. In immigration news, a Guatemalan man has become the second known person to die of the coronavirus while in the custody of ICE. That's Immigration and Customs Enforcement. 34-year-old Santiago Batan Oshlag was imprisoned at the privately run Stewart Detention Center in Georgia before being transferred to a hospital. Earlier this month, another ICE prisoner, Carlos Ernesto Escobar Mejia of El Salvador, died in a San Diego hospital after becoming sick at the for-profit Otay Mesa Detention Center. On Sunday, immigrant rights activists drove by the Otay Mesa jail to demand the release of prisoners. This is protester Jennifer Frost Moreno.
No more needless or senseless deaths because of COVID-19 and ICE's lack of action to protect the detainees and staff inside detention centers.
At least 200 prisoners at Otay Mesa have reportedly contracted COVID-19. Nationwide, over 1,200 people at ICE jails have tested positive. In other immigration news, ICE is moving ahead with plans to deport more Haitian immigrants amidst the pandemic, including people who've tested positive for COVID-19. At least 9 people with the virus are set to be deported today, among 78 other Haitian nationals. One passenger on the deportation flight is Death Squad leader Emmanuel Toto Constant, who founded a paramilitary group that's been accused of rape, torture, and the murder of thousands of supporters of the overthrown former President Jean-Bertrand Aristide. Haitian activists are calling on the Department of Homeland Security to halt his deportation. President Trump's imposed new travel restrictions on Brazil as the World Health Organization's declared South America to be the new epicenter of the pandemic. Most foreign nationals who've been to Brazil in the last 14 days will not be allowed to enter the U.S. The order, which goes into effect just before midnight tonight, doesn't apply to U.S. citizens, permanent residents, or their close relatives. On Monday, Brazil's daily death toll topped 800, surpassing the U.S. daily total of 620. Brazil now has around 375,000 confirmed cases of the coronavirus, second only to the United States. Over 23,000 deaths have been reported. The Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro repeatedly dismissed concerns over the pandemic and clashed with local leaders over their efforts to curb the spread of the virus. We'll have more on Brazil and the devastation caused by the coronavirus in the Amazon after headlines. We'll be speaking with renowned photojournalist Sebastião Salgado. Meanwhile, Chilean President Sebastián Piñera warned Chile's healthcare system is, quote, very close to the limit as the number of confirmed coronavirus cases tops 74,000. Argentina and Peru have extended their lockdowns into June. In Britain, Prime Minister Boris Johnson is facing resistance from some parents and teachers as he moves to reopen schools in a week. He also announced non-essential retail could resume business next month. Meanwhile, his top advisor, Dominic Cummings, has come under intense fire after he broke Britain's lockdown to visit his parents while Cummings and his wife had active cases of COVID-19. Russia recorded its highest daily death toll Sunday with over 150 deaths, but says the number of new cases appears to be declining. The World Health Organization has suspended testing of hydroxychloroquine to treat COVID-19 amidst possible safety concerns. The anti-malarial drug has been repeatedly touted by President Trump, who last week elicited shock and condemnation by claiming he's been taking hydroxychloroquine preventively. A new study in The Lancet that looked at over 96,000 hospitalized patients found those who were given hydroxychloroquine had a significantly higher death rate than those who did not. In Pakistan, 97 people died Friday when a Pakistan International Airlines jet crashed into a crowded, poor neighborhood of Karachi while attempting to land at the city's airport. 2 people survived the crash. Dozens of residents who live near the crash site were transported to the hospital, but no fatalities were reported on the ground. This is Salah Uddin, a resident of the Karachi neighborhood where the plane crashed.
It is a very tragic incident that has occurred on the occasion of Eid. It is especially painful because people were coming home to celebrate Eid with their loved ones. In a way, we can say the poor people have become martyrs. It is very sad.
The Washington Post is reporting the Trump administration recently discussed conducting the first U.S. nuclear test explosion since 1992. One official told the paper the test could help the U.S. in nuclear negotiations with Russia and China. But Darrell Kimball of the Arms Control Association warned the move, quote, would be the starting gun to an unprecedented nuclear arms race, unquote. Last week, the Trump administration announced it's withdrawing from the Open Skies Treaty, a major international arms control deal. Last year, Trump also withdrew from the INF Treaty, the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty with Russia. In Hong Kong, thousands took to the streets Sunday to protest the new security laws proposed by China Friday, which they say will further tighten Beijing's grip on the semi-autonomous territory by cracking down on, quote, subversion of state power and secessionist activities. Police deployed tear gas, pepper spray and water cannons against the pro-democracy protesters. Critics say the new law, which will bypass the Hong Kong legislature, would mark an end to any independence held by the region. The Department of Justice is reportedly investigating the killing of Ahmad Arbery as a hate crime. The Arbery family attorney, Lee Merritt, shared the news Monday. Ahmad Arbery's case has drawn nationwide outrage after video emerged showing 2 white men chasing after the 25-year-old black man as he was jogging, then shooting him to death. No arrests were made until the video came to light 2 months later, earlier this month, even though the murder took place in February. A 3rd white man who filmed the killing has also been arrested. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden has apologized after facing backlash for telling radio host Charlemagne the God he, quote, ain't black if he was unsure about who to support in the upcoming election. Biden made the comment on the popular show The Breakfast Club Friday.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see.
Take a look at my record, man. I extended the voting rights 25 years. I have a record that is second to none. The NAACP has endorsed me every time I've run. Come on. Take a look at the record.
President Biden later apologized. And a federal judge in Florida has struck down a law requiring former felons pay court fines and fees before they can register to vote. U.S. District Court Judge Robert Hinkle said the law amounted to an unconstitutional poll tax. Republicans passed the law after Floridians approved a ballot measure in 2018 restoring voting rights for former felons. And Stacey Park Millburn, a beloved figure in the disability justice movement, has died at the age of 33 of complications from surgery. She started the Disability Justice Culture Club in her home in Oakland, California, as a place where queer, disabled, Black, Indigenous, and people of color could gather and organize. After the coronavirus pandemic hit, members of the group mobilized to make and distribute hand sanitizer and provide mutual aid to the community. Earlier this month, Stacey Park Millburn spoke out against an effort by hospital and assisted living lobbying groups in California to receive immunity from any kind of liability during the pandemic.
There has to be checks and balances on hospitals and nursing homes. Otherwise, disabled people, especially people of color, are left alone in a system that already doesn't care about us. Everything that we have right now in terms of community living and appropriate medical care didn't happen by itself. Disability rights advocates and racial justice advocates fought long and hard for it.
That was Stacey Park Millburn speaking earlier this month. She died last week on her 33rd birthday. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the Quarantine Report. I'm Amy Goodman. When we come back, we look at COVID-19's devastating impact on Brazil's indigenous people who are dying at double the rate of the rest of Brazil. Juan Gonzalez and I will be speaking with world-renowned Brazilian photojournalist Sebastião Salgado, who wrote an open letter to right-wing President Jair Bolsonaro, warning the pandemic's an extreme threat to their very survival. Stay with us.